It started as a Perfect Strangers spin-off about a loving family. Then a nerdy neighbor showed up, stole the show, and changed everything. Actors got fired, story arcs vanished, and one star, they walked away and never looked back. These are 20 secrets about family matters hidden for decades. And the bonus, a character so hated that the writers tried killing him off 3 times. Did I do that? Number 20. Steve Urkel was only supposed to appear once.
I'm Steve Urkel. Is Laura ready for the dance? Wow, are you wearing a bra?
When Jaleel White auditioned for a 1-episode role in season 1, nobody expected what would happen next. The character of Steve Urkel was written as a minor annoyance, a nerdy neighbor who'd ask Laura Winslow to the dance, get rejected, and disappear forever. White showed up wearing suspenders, oversized glasses, and brought a nasally voice that made the producers laugh uncomfortably. They weren't sure if it was funny or just weird. But when they filmed the episode in front of a live studio audience, something unprecedented happened. The crowd went absolutely insane. Every line Urkel delivered got massive laughs. His catchphrase, "Did I do that?" brought the house down. Between takes, audience members were literally standing and applauding for a character they'd just met. The producers watched from the control booth in stunned silence, realizing they'd accidentally created something special. They brought White back for another episode, then another. By the end of season 1, Urkel had appeared in a dozen episodes. By season 2, he was appearing in every episode. And by season 3, the opening credits had been redesigned to feature him prominently. What was supposed to be a single throwaway appearance became the center of the entire show, transforming Family Matters from a family sitcom into the Steve Urkel Show. And nobody, especially not Jaleel White, saw it coming. Number 19. Reginald VelJohnson was promised a different show.
I'll have a cruller, please, and a cup of coffee. Black.
So what's this about?
Well,
Reginald VelJohnson signed on to Family Matters with specific expectations. He'd played Carl Winslow in Perfect Strangers and was offered a spin-off centered on his character, a Chicago police sergeant balancing work and family life. The pitch was serious, a show that would tackle real issues facing black families, explore policing from an insider's perspective, and showcase a strong father figure. VelJohnson loved the concept. He'd spent years playing supporting roles and finally had a chance to lead a meaningful show. The first season matched that vision. Episodes dealt with Carl's job stress, teenage pregnancy scares, and financial struggles, real problems handled with heart and humor. VelJohnson poured himself into the role, drawing on his own experiences and bringing depth to Carl Winslow. Then Steve Urkel arrived, and everything changed. Suddenly, episodes weren't about Carl's life, but about Urkel's latest invention destroying the Winslow house. Carl became a punching bag for slapstick comedy, his character reduced to yelling at a nerdy kid. VelJohnson watched helplessly as the show he'd signed up for disappeared, replaced by something unrecognizable. He approached producers multiple times asking to return to the original concept. They refused, pointing to ratings that skyrocketed with Urkel. VelJohnson was trapped in a contract, forced to watch his show become someone else's. The bitterness never fully left him. Even as Family Matters became one of ABC's biggest hits. Number 18. Jaleel White was bullied by adult cast members.
Urkel, why don't you ever knock?
Well, if I did, nobody would ever let me in. All right, see ya. Hi, everybody.
I just thought of a reason.
Jaleel White was 12 years old when Steve Urkel became a phenomenon. He handled the sudden fame with remarkable maturity, showing up prepared, hitting his marks, and delivering lines perfectly. But behind the scenes, some adult cast members resented him deeply. They'd spent years working toward leading roles, and this kid had swooped in and stolen their show. The resentment manifested in subtle but cruel ways. During rehearsals, certain cast members would forget to include White in conversations, talking around him like he wasn't there. Others would make passive-aggressive comments about guest stars who don't know their place. Jo Marie Payton, who played matriarch Harriet Winslow, was particularly cold to White during the early seasons. She'd worked on Perfect Strangers, believed Family Matters was her show, and watching it become the Urkel show infuriated her. She wouldn't make eye contact with White between takes, would deliver her lines to him with barely concealed contempt, and according to crew members, referred to him as that kid rather than by name. White was mature enough to recognize what was happening but young enough to be hurt by it. He'd go to his dressing room between scenes and cry, confused about why adults hated him for being good at his job. The bullying eased somewhat as seasons progressed and White grew older, but the damage was done. He learned early that success breeds resentment, that being the star doesn't mean being liked. Number 17, the transformation chamber was built because Jaleel White demanded it.
Steve!
Steve! Stefan. Right. Are your parents happy with the new you? Oh, they...
By season 4, Jaleel White was exhausted. He'd spent 3 years playing one character, the same nerdy persona, episode after episode, and he was bored. White was a talented actor capable of range, but Steve Urkel offered no variety. He approached producers with a request: let me play other characters. They were hesitant, worried that changing Urkel would alienate the audience. But White had leverage. The show depended on him entirely, and he knew it. So they compromised, creating the transformation chamber, a ridiculous machine that temporarily turned Steve Urkel into Steve Urkel, a smooth, cool alter ego. It was scientifically absurd, completely illogical, but it gave White what he wanted: variety. As Stefan, he could play romantic scenes differently, use a different voice, and explore different physicality. The transformation chamber became a recurring plot device, and White eventually played multiple characters: Urkel, Stefan, Myrtle Urkel, and others. Each new character was White's attempt to prove he was more than the nerd. But here's the irony: audiences never embraced Stefan the way they loved Urkel. The transformation episodes had lower ratings. Fan mail decreased when Stefan appeared too much. White fought for artistic growth, but viewers wanted the same character they'd fallen for. So the show kept returning to Urkel, and White kept playing him, trapped by his own success in a role he'd grown to resent. Number 16. Judy Winslow disappeared without explanation.
Lo, what's 8 times 9? 72. No, what's 81?
Jamie Foxworth played Judy Winslow, the youngest daughter of the family, for the show's first 4 seasons. She was there from the beginning, a regular cast member with her own storylines and character development. Then, after season 4, she vanished. Not written off with an explanation, not sent away to college or relatives. Just gone. Episodes in season 5 continued as if Judy had never existed. The family suddenly had 2 kids instead of 3 and nobody mentioned it. No goodbye episode, no acknowledgement, nothing. For viewers, it was bizarre and disorienting. But for Foxworth, it was devastating. The producers called her into an office before season 5 and simply told her she was no longer needed. The show was refocusing on Steve Urkel and older characters, and Judy didn't fit anymore. She was 14 years old, fired from a successful show with no warning and no chance to say goodbye to cast members who'd become like family. Foxworth struggled massively after Family Matters. She couldn't book other roles because casting directors saw her as the disappeared kid from that sitcom. Her family faced financial hardship, having budgeted around her income. She fell into depression, made choices she later regretted, and spent years trying to rebuild a life that had been derailed. The cruelest part was that the show continued successfully without her, proving to Foxworth that she'd been completely disposable all along. Number 15. Kelly Shanigan-Williams fought constantly with directors.
Little creep, Suzette? Steve, I'm full. You cooked 7 meals for me today. It would have been...
I've always dreamed of going to the prom with you. I know, you asked me.
Kelly Shanigan-Williams played Laura Winslow, the object of Steve Urkel's affection and arguably the second most important character on the show. On screen, she was sweet, patient, and kind. Off-screen, she was fighting battles nobody saw. Williams had strong opinions about how Laura should be portrayed and frequently clashed with directors who wanted her to play scenes differently. The main conflict centered on Laura's relationship with Steve. Directors wanted Laura to be mean to Urkel, to reject him cruelly for comedy. Williams argued this made Laura unlikable, that constantly humiliating someone who genuinely loved her turned her character into a bully. She pushed for Laura to show more compassion, to let audiences see her internal conflict between appreciating Steve's heart and not being attracted to him. Directors dismissed her concerns, insisting the comedy came from Laura's exasperation. But Williams wouldn't back down. She'd refuse to deliver lines the way they were written, suggesting alternative readings that softened Laura's reactions. This led to heated arguments on set, with Williams occasionally walking off until they'd compromise. Damon Williams, who played Eddie, later said Kelly was the only cast member brave enough to fight for character integrity against producers who just wanted easy laughs. Her battles meant Laura evolved from a one-note mean girl into a more complex character, but it cost Williams relationships with production staff who labeled her difficult and uncooperative. Number 14, the show moved networks and lost half its audience.
Genuine canvas!
Oh, thank you, sweetums. I'll put your picture in it and tape it to my heart.
For 8 seasons, Family Matters aired on ABC's legendary TGIF lineup, Friday night comfort television that defined the 90s. The show was part of a block with Step by Step, Boy Meets World, and Sabrina the Teenage Witch, a powerhouse lineup that dominated ratings. Then in 1997, ABC made a shocking decision. They canceled Family Matters despite solid ratings because they wanted to rebrand their Friday night programming toward younger demographics. CBS immediately picked up the show for its 9th and final season, thrilled to acquire a proven hit, but the move was catastrophic. Family Matters' audience was loyal to ABC's TGIF, not necessarily to the show itself. When it moved to CBS on a different night, viewers didn't follow. Ratings collapsed by more than 50%. Longtime fans couldn't find the show on their new network and time slot. CBS's audience wasn't primed for family sitcoms the way ABC's had been. The show that had been a cultural phenomenon suddenly felt lost and irrelevant. Cast members watched helplessly as their audience evaporated, knowing the show was dying but contractually obligated to keep filming. The 9th season felt like a funeral procession, everyone going through motions until CBS finally pulled the plug. Family Matters didn't end because it stopped being good. It ended because network politics destroyed what ABC had built over nearly a decade. Number 13, Damon Wayans was almost cast as Steve Urkel.
That will make me cool.
Oh, well, you go on and drink that, and then I'll show you my toothpaste.
Before Jaleel White won the role of Steve Urkel, producers seriously considered someone completely different: Damon Wayans. This was before In Living Color made Wayans a star, when he was still known primarily as a stand-up comedian looking for his breakout role. Wayans auditioned with his own take on the nerdy character, bringing physical comedy and a high-pitched voice similar to what White would eventually use. Producers loved his energy and comedic instincts. He made it to final callbacks, competing against White and a few other actors. The deciding factor came down to age and availability. Wayans was in his late 20s, potentially too old to believably play a high school student crushing on a teenage girl. There were concerns about optics, about a grown man pursuing a teenager even in a comedic context. Additionally, Wayans was fielding other opportunities and couldn't commit to a potentially recurring role that might be just one episode. White, on the other hand, was actually a teenager, perfect for the role's age requirements and completely available. The choice became obvious. Wayans went on to create In Living Color and build a legendary career. White became Steve Urkel and got trapped in that success. Both won, but in very different ways. And occasionally people wonder what Family Matters would have looked like with Wayans' more adult, edgier comedy style behind those iconic suspenders. Number 12. The Urkelbot episodes were accidents that became canon.
Ready to dance, Urkel?
The Urkelbot, a robot duplicate of Steve that became a recurring character, was never supposed to exist. It started as a one-off joke in a single episode where Urkel built a robot version of himself to attend school while he did something else. The prop department created a crude costume, just enough to sell the gag for one scene. But when they filmed it, Jaleel White had an idea. He performed the robot with exaggerated mechanical movements and a monotone voice that killed with the studio audience. The laughs were so big that producers immediately asked writers to bring the Urkel bot back. The prop department panicked because they'd built the costume as a disposable one-episode thing, but they managed to refurbish it for a second appearance, then a third. Suddenly, the Urkel bot had a recurring role, appearing in multiple episodes per season. It became one of the show's most popular running gags, with White playing both Steve and the robot in split-screen scenes that required precise timing and technical coordination. The absurdity of a teenager building a fully functional robot duplicate was never questioned or explained. It just became part of Family Matters' reality, a show that had long abandoned any pretense of realism in favor of whatever made audiences laugh. What started as a throwaway prop became canon, proving that sometimes accidents create the most memorable moments. Number 11. Jo Marie Payton walked off the show. During final season,
I got us 2 luxury box seats at the Bears-Packers football game.
How sweet.
Jo Marie Payton had been with Family Matters since before it was Family Matters, playing Harriet Winslow first on Perfect Strangers. She was the matriarch, the heart of the family, and by all rights should have remained central to the show's identity. But by season 9, Payton had reached her breaking point. The show had become completely unrecognizable from what she'd signed up for. Every episode centered on Urkel's latest ridiculous adventure, while the Winslow family became background players in their own show. Payton's role had diminished to the point where she'd have maybe 3 lines per episode, usually just reacting to Urkel's chaos. She approached producers multiple times, asking for better material, for storylines that featured Harriet, for anything that would make her feel like more than a prop. They promised changes that never came. So midway through the final season, Payton simply stopped showing up. She walked off set and didn't return. Producers scrambled, writing Harriet out by saying she was visiting relatives, and filmed the remaining episodes without her. For the series finale, one of television's most important family sitcoms, the mother figure was completely absent. Payton later said she had no regrets, that staying would have meant sacrificing her dignity for a paycheck. But the absence spoke volumes about how thoroughly Steve Urkel had consumed and destroyed the show's original foundation. Number 10. Jaleel White's voice was permanently damaged.
Did I do that? Hi, Carl. I'm falling and I can't get up. Got any cheese?
Playing Steve Urkel required Jaleel White to speak in an unnaturally high-pitched, nasally voice for 9 seasons. What started as a character choice became a medical issue. White spent hours every filming day straining his vocal cords, forcing them into positions they weren't designed to maintain. By season 3, he started experiencing pain and hoarseness between takes. By season 5, he was seeing specialists who warned him about permanent damage. The doctors told him to stop using the Urkel voice or risk losing his natural voice entirely. But White was trapped. The show depended on that voice, and his contract required him to perform the character as established. So he kept going, working with vocal coaches who taught him techniques to minimize damage, doing warm-up exercises before every take, drinking special teas, and using lozenges constantly. But the harm was already done. White's natural speaking voice changed permanently, developing a slightly higher pitch and a raspier quality than before the show. He can't speak in his original pre-Urkel voice anymore because those vocal cords were altered by years of strain. In interviews, White discusses this matter-of-factly, without bitterness, acknowledging it as the price of success. But it's a stark reminder that physical comedy isn't the only performance that takes bodily tolls. Sometimes the damage is internal and permanent. Number 9. The show tackled gun violence, then backed away.
For me, Harriet, Rachel, I want to thank you for making me feel so welcome.
Oh, Jimmy.
In season 4, Family Matters aired one of its most powerful episodes. A friend of the Winslow family was killed in a drive-by shooting, and the show dealt seriously with gun violence affecting Black communities. The episode was heartbreaking, well-written, and earned critical praise for handling a difficult topic with sensitivity. Reginald VelJohnson gave an Emmy-worthy performance as a grieving father figure struggling with senseless loss. The episode resonated deeply with audiences who'd experienced similar tragedies. Then the network saw the ratings. The serious episode had significantly lower numbers than typical Urkel-heavy episodes. Advertisers complained about the dark subject matter being inappropriate for family viewing, so producers made a decision: never go that serious again. Future seasons abandoned meaningful social commentary entirely, retreating into pure slapstick and science fiction absurdity. Writers who wanted to address real issues were told explicitly that Family Matters was an escapist comedy, not a platform for social messages. The gun violence episode became an anomaly, proof that the show could handle depth but chose not to. Years later, cast members expressed regret about this direction. They believed Family Matters had a responsibility to address issues affecting its primarily Black audience, but commercial concerns overruled artistic integrity. The show that could have been important settled for being merely profitable. Number 8. Rosetta Lenoir's health declined, but she refused to quit.
Your mother hasn't liked Frank since he took Est.
But what about my other scary movies and apparently eat their entire weight in junk food?
They had a good solid dinner.
Rosetta Lenoir played Mother Winslow, the sassy, sharp-tongued grandmother who provided wisdom and humor. She was 77 when the show premiered and brought decades of stage and screen experience to the role. But by season 6, her health was deteriorating rapidly. She had diabetes, arthritis, and cardiovascular issues that made performing increasingly difficult. Between takes, she'd need oxygen. Camera blocking had to accommodate her limited mobility. Some days she couldn't remember lines, requiring cue cards placed strategically around the set. Producers gently suggested she retire, offering to write Mother Winslow out with dignity, saying she'd move to a retirement community. Lenoir refused. Acting was her life, and she wasn't ready to stop regardless of physical limitations. The cast rallied around her, helping her through difficult scenes, covering for memory lapses, ensuring she never felt like a burden. Jaleel White, despite his youth, showed particular compassion, spending breaks talking with Lenoir and learning from her stories about old Hollywood. She made it through 8 seasons before her body finally forced retirement. She died in 2002 at age 90, having worked almost until her final days. Her dedication inspired everyone on set, proving that passion for craft transcends physical decline and that true professionals never stop fighting for their art. Number 7. The writers tried killing off Steve Urkel 3 times. By season 6, the writing staff was desperate. They'd written hundreds of Urkel episodes and couldn't think of anything new. The character had become a creative prison, limiting what stories they could tell. So they pitched the unthinkable: kill off Steve Urkel. The first attempt involved a serious car accident where Urkel would die, teaching the Winslows to appreciate people while they're alive. Network executives rejected it immediately, horrified at the idea of killing their most popular character. The second attempt was a science experiment gone wrong, Urkel accidentally erasing himself from existence. Again rejected, this time because it was too dark for the show's tone. The third attempt came in season 8, a storyline where Urkel would permanently transform into Steve Urkel, effectively killing the original character while keeping Jaleel White employed. This nearly happened. Scripts were written, episodes planned. Then, test audiences reacted so negatively that producers abandoned the idea. Every attempt to eliminate Urkel failed because, commercially, he was untouchable. The writers were stuck, forced to keep recycling the same character dynamics for 9 seasons. Some of the show's worst episodes came from this creative exhaustion, writers going through motions with a character they'd grown to resent but couldn't escape. Number 6. Sean Harrison was written out due to budget cuts.
Right now. Ah, shoot. I left my wallet in my other pants.
Now, that old excuse.
Sean Harrison played Waldo Faldo, Eddie's dim-witted best friend who became a fan favorite for his innocent stupidity and genuine heart. Harrison brought warmth to a character that could have been just a dumb joke, making Waldo lovable rather than pathetic. He appeared regularly through season 8, becoming part of the show's fabric. Then, suddenly, in season 9, Waldo vanished without explanation. No goodbye, no send-off, just absent. The reason was purely financial. When CBS picked up the show, they demanded significant budget cuts. The cast was too expensive, especially with Jaleel White commanding top dollar. Something had to give, and recurring characters became expendable. Harrison was informed his services were no longer needed. He wasn't fired for poor performance or creative reasons. Simply put, CBS didn't want to pay him. Harrison took it professionally but was devastated. Family Matters had been his big break, and losing it felt like career suicide. He struggled to find work afterward, typecast as the dumb friend, unable to book serious roles. Years later, he spoke about feeling disposable, how quickly the industry discards actors when budgets tighten. His absence in season 9 is noticeable, leaving Eddie without his comedic foil and removing one of the show's gentler sources of humor. Number 5. The show's final episode wasn't meant to be final.
Steve!
Oh, hi.
I was waiting for you. Come over here, sit down, we can talk.
When Family Matters filmed what became its series finale, nobody knew it was ending. CBS had indicated renewal was likely, and the cast expected to return for season 10. So, the final episode wasn't written as a conclusion. It was just another episode with no special significance, no emotional goodbyes, no resolution to ongoing storylines. Steve and Laura had just gotten engaged, setting up what should have been a wedding season. Other characters had arcs in progress. Then, weeks after filming wrapped, CBS called and said the show was canceled, effective immediately. The cast learned through news reports before receiving official notification. They never got to film a proper ending, never got closure for characters they'd played for nearly a decade. The finale that aired was a random episode that happened to be last, leaving fans confused and unsatisfied. Jaleel White later said this was the cruelest part of the cancellation. They'd given 9 years to this show and weren't allowed to say goodbye properly. Years later, there were discussions about a reunion movie to provide proper closure, but it never materialized. Family Matters just stopped, mid-story, leaving the Winslow family frozen in time without resolution or peace. Number 4. Kelly Shanigan Williams walked away from acting.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Oh, come on, something's wrong. What is it?
I can't tell you, Rachel. It's too weird and twisted.
For years after Family Matters ended in 1998, Kelly Shanigan Williams could have leveraged her fame into a successful career. She was only 22, beautiful, talented, and recognizable from 9 years on a hit show. Instead, she disappeared from Hollywood almost completely. Williams later revealed she was burned out and disillusioned. 9 years of fighting with directors, watching the show devolve into absurdity, and being reduced to Steve Urkel's love interest had drained her passion for acting. She wanted to be taken seriously as an actress, but felt typecast as Laura Winslow. Auditions went poorly because casting directors couldn't see her as anything else. So Williams made a radical choice. She walked away, enrolled in college, got a degree, and built a life outside entertainment. She didn't act for nearly a decade, turning down offers and reunion opportunities. During this time, she discovered she didn't miss it. The constant scrutiny, the lack of creative control, the Hollywood politics, none of it appealed to her anymore. When she eventually returned to acting in the 2000s, it was on her terms, taking small roles that interested her rather than chasing fame. Her decade away was healing, a necessary separation from a show that had defined her entire adolescence and young adulthood. Number 3. The show's syndication made everyone rich except the kids.
Do your laundry, and after that, I'm gonna wash your car and mow the lawn. Tony's having a few people over tonight to watch some TV.
Family Matters became a syndication goldmine, airing multiple times daily on various networks for decades. The show generated hundreds of millions in residuals, with episodes continuing to earn money long after original broadcast. Reginald VelJohnson and Jo Marie Payton, as adult series regulars, received substantial syndication payments that set them up financially. Behind the scenes, producers and creators made fortunes from the show's afterlife. But the child actors, Jaleel White, Kelly Shanigan Williams, and Damon Williams, received minimal syndication residuals. Their contracts, negotiated when they were minors, didn't include favorable syndication terms. Their parents or guardians had signed deals that seemed generous during original production, but didn't account for decades of reruns. While the show continued generating revenue, the actors who'd spent their childhoods making it received comparative pennies. Jaleel White spoke about this injustice publicly, noting he made more money from a single commercial in the 2000s than from years of Family Matters syndication. The financial disparity created resentment, especially when producers who'd clashed with them were getting wealthy off their childhood performances. This exploitation led to industry changes, better protections for young actors, and mandatory financial literacy requirements for parents managing child performers' contracts. Number 2. Jaleel White tried distancing himself and it backfired.
Steve! I'm falling and I can't get up.
After Family Matters ended, Jaleel White desperately wanted to escape Steve Urkel. He took roles specifically chosen to show range: a rapper in a music video, a dramatic turn in an indie film, hosting gigs where he appeared nothing like his sitcom character. He gave interviews insisting he wasn't Urkel, that he was a serious actor with range. He refused to wear the glasses or do the voice at public appearances. The strategy backfired spectacularly. Audiences felt rejected, like White was ashamed of the character they loved. Casting directors saw him as difficult, an actor refusing to embrace his most successful role. Job offers dried up. When White finally appeared at a convention in character, the response was overwhelming. Fans lined up for hours, expressing how much Urkel had meant to them. White realized something important. Steve Urkel wasn't his enemy. The character had given him opportunities most actors never receive. By running from it, he was running from his own success. He started embracing Urkel again, doing the voice occasionally, wearing the costume for special events, and acknowledging the character's importance. His career improved immediately. He landed roles on Dancing with the Stars and other shows specifically because of Urkel nostalgia. White learned that you can't escape your legacy. You can only decide how to carry it. Number 1. A reboot has been planned for over a decade.
Is Steve going too? Well, he is if he doesn't find a place to stay.
Thanks, Dad.
Oh, come on, Steve. We want to show you the cake we got for you. Whoa.
Since 2010, there have been persistent rumors and actual attempts to reboot Family Matters. Various networks have expressed interest, seeing the value in 90s nostalgia and the show's built-in audience. Jaleel White has been approached multiple times about returning, and he's expressed willingness under the right circumstances. The core issue preventing the reboot is creative vision. Every pitch has centered on Steve Urkel, making him the main character with the Winslows in supporting roles. But many original cast members refuse to participate in that version, arguing it would repeat the mistakes that ruined the original show. They want a true ensemble reboot focusing on the family with Urkel as a recurring character. Producers insist Urkel must be central because he's the only reason anyone remembers the show. This standoff has killed multiple reboot attempts. Additionally, Reginald VelJohnson has stated he's not interested in returning regardless of creative direction. Without Carl Winslow, can there even be a Family Matters? The reboot remains in perpetual development, occasionally surfacing in entertainment news before disappearing again. Perhaps it's better this way, leaving the show as a 90s time capsule rather than risking a modern update that pleases no one. Family Matters brought joy to millions and launched Jaleel White into stardom. But behind the laughter lived real pain, talented actors watching their show transform into something unrecognizable. The Winslow family deserved better than becoming background players in the Steve Urkel show, a cautionary tale about success consuming everything in its path.